Yeah, they're trying it on again. The abortion circus is back in town. Uh, um, well, I'll give you my personal take on it, and I'm going to be blunt. I mean, the abortion thing is an example of these internationalists, globalists. The globalist agenda, driven by these, as usual, driven by the progressive leftists, just taking advantage of, it's inexplicable, just the dumbest people. It's like they've got this broken record. Like, I don't believe in these day and age, 2019, women still can't, blah, 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 blah. And you fill in the blanks with the crayon. Like, women still can't be CEOs. I don't believe after, in this day and age, women can't be doctors. Or I don't believe there's laws preventing women from being, plumbers. And there's like this broken record, and they put this on the media, and all these women just, like Pavlov's dogs, they just go mental. Just go, well, how dare you say I can't be an astronaut or something. What is this, the Dark Ages? And this sort of myth of, the usual myth of progression. Now, it was like that with me, myself and the women in combat a few years ago. They were agitating for women in the military, which is bad enough, but women in combat. What's that about? It's like you've got there's some women working in a factory, in a warehouse. And there's one guy who drives the forklift, and these women discover that the guy who drives the forklift makes $1 more a week than they do, and they go absolutely mental, crazy. Like, they go completely mad. It's sexism. And they all want to be the guy who drives the forklift or something. Now, it's all quite understandable, women executives, women doctors, women politicians, women prime ministers. You can understand all that, but it turns over into this sort of from just being an issue to being like a thought template, like a kind of a pretend contrived social issue. It's a crossover where you've got you have an actual population of people who have an issue and then you fix it. And it turns into this contrived social issue where you have a contrived group like transgender, transsexuals, cross-dressers, who are, oppressed by society. And, it turns into this basically pretend social issue, which mimics, a real social issue. And, women in combat thing was just this. Honestly, I just stood there staring at this whole thing going, maybe it was just misjudging women by the stupidity of the feminist propaganda. And there's a lot to that, but why does, the public at large and the politicians seem to buy into this nonsense all the time? Like women in combat. Why do you want to be in combat? You read 1,000 war memoirs of people who've been in wars, and it's almost universal. They join the army for idealistic reasons, they go to boot camp, they end up in the war zone, and within about 30 seconds of being in combat, they're stripped of their illusions entirely. And they think things like, this is fucked. This is the last place I want to be. All the crap they told me isn't worth a piece of soiled toilet paper. This is different from anything they said. I mean, women in combat. Anyone in combat. I mean, in the Vietnam War, they had the draft, and all these Americans, even in Australia they had the draft, but all these Americans were going to be drafted in the army, and they left the country. They became conscience objectors. They moved to Canada. They moved to Europe. They became hippies. They bought a combi in Germany and drove to Afghanistan. Lived in a village in, the Caucasus to get away from the US, the long arm of the US, the US government. They didn't want to be in combat. Combat is, combat is just killing people for no reason. Bloody. Adrenaline. It's adrenaline-soaked, bloody, utterly regrettable violence for no real reason. And you can read 1,000 books on, my enemy, I had nothing against my enemy, but I killed him anyway because the state or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's like a war is like two guys with jackhammers in a cage trying to kill each other. It's not pretty. They're actually trying to kill each other and just maim and dismember each other with machine tools. And that could be a gun, which is at 100 yards, or it could be a bayonet at 1 foot. It doesn't matter. It's nothing you want to be. You don't want to be there. It's fucked. It's, I mean, and you see, and well, that aside, you have all these women in a frenzy. We have to change the laws and allow women in combat because they get combat pay, and they'll get a few more dollars an hour. And it's not fair. The women don't get a few more dollars an hour than the men. I mean, yeah, there's people, leaving their country and being hunted around the world as fugitives to avoid these things. And women in the army are being told that, you should want to be in combat because you get a few more dollars an hour. And this is like the abortion thing. You see, the abortion thing, they're always getting these women whipped into a frenzy with the usual slogans. My body, my choice, woman's right to choose. And they have these sort of handful of sort of infuriating hypothetical scenarios which are designed to end all discussion, like the idea of a beautiful young girl gets raped by some ruffian, ends up pregnant. Should this woman carry this baby to term? Unwanted pregnancy to say the least. troublesome pregnancy, and they think, well, an abortion is a necessary evil in these circumstances. But again, this is these arguments made from rare circumstances. Rape is rare. Pregnancy from rape is rare. Women having, complications of pregnancy that would require an abortion are very rare. But they're making these laws about, they want to change the laws to make abortion no longer a crime. But, they're not addressing the obvious question that they're raising. Why do we need more abortions? Why does Australia, any country, need more abortions? Now, there are countries where it's sick. People use abortion regularly. People regularly have abortions and expect to regularly have abortions as a system of birth control. I'm not kidding. Telling someone you can have a regular abortion as just part of birth control, it's not doing them a service. It is incredibly dangerous. It's very destructive to their health. People have abortions and find it very hard to get pregnant, have children later. The idea of abortion as birth control is just really mad. It's incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly destructive. It's nothing like what they say. If you want birth control, if you don't want to have children, use prophylaxis like everyone else. And you have these women saying, well, I want access to free abortions. What are they saying? I'm just some disorganized bozo who just wants to root away and just regularly just get rid of the consequences. Now, this is the debate that's not being had about abortion. Is abortion a good method of birth control? Now, again, we have this whole progressive leftist agenda pushing free, safe, legal, government-funded abortions on the country. Now, they're not telling, they're just not, they're getting women whipped up into a frenzy. They're whipping up a crowd into a frenzy about some imaginary benefits that they're being refused. And it's all an illusion. I know what eugenicists are like. I know what they think. I know what elites are like. I know what they think. They look at the poor and they despise them. Half of black American children in America are aborted. The Planned Parenthood is designed by eugenicist Nazi weirdos. And they think of the poor as people who are just too stupid to be allowed to live. You're low IQ, you're stupid. Please kill your children and sterilize yourself and don't be a burden on the state. Excuse me? I'm a citizen. I'm a voter. I comprise the state. I am the state. Why am I a burden on the state when the government exists for me, by and through me? No. The elites make no secret of the fact that they want the poor dead. And they want them to stop pissing in the gene pool and, just abort their children and sterilize themselves. That's what they think. They don't pretend. I mean, these ideas. Like even people like, heroes of the alt-right, like Stefan Molyneux. They all start quacking these ideas about race and IQ, and with one agenda, and that's like this eugenicist program. And they're whipping up these crowds of women into a frenzy, saying, how dare you submit to the interfering will of a patriarchal and interfering patriarchy, and you can control your own body, blah 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 blah. You can control your own body. Don't have sex if you don't want to get pregnant. Don't have sex. You're in control of your own body. And you're saying, okay, well, I don't want the evil patriarchy telling me, making choices for me. And already, we're not discussing medical abortions and emergency abortions, and abortions after rape or abortions after incest or abort. We're not talking about that anymore. We're talking about my body, my choice, which is basically, lifestyle abortions. Abortions as birth control. And you know what? It's not your body, it's not your choice. A child, an embryo, a child, is half one person, half another. Okay? It's a separate human being. It's a life given by God. It's not your choice to destroy. It's your choice not to participate in the beginning. And it's like that they believe you can only be. People believe in abortions, believe you can be half pregnant, right? Abortion is just a growth on my body I'm having taken out or something, in a safe, legal procedure. It's a human being. It's not yours. It's just yours. It's belongs to you and your husband. And he's got a say on it as well. And you say women have rights, but what about the rights of female babies to not be aborted? It doesn't know. So, you end up with this just lunatic, this comical scene where these crowds of not very bright women are being whipped up into a frenzy about all these wonderful things they're missing out on, like combat pay or something, and they're being told, just fuck off and die. The arms dealers want more money for defence. We want more money for Lockheed's fighter jets and ships and planes and missiles. We need this money for our wars of aggression